In the U.S., court upholds Affordable Care Act's free preventive services mandate and Obamacare preventive care mandate to stay in place after court ruling. California Democrats agree to delay health care worker minimum wage increase to help balance budget. In the U.S., court upholds Affordable Care Act's free preventive services mandate and Obamacare preventive care mandate to stay in place after court ruling. California Democrats agree to delay health care worker minimum wage increase to help balance budget. DeSantis signs bill making it legal to kill crack bears in self-defense. Human shielding in action. Israeli forces strap Palestinian man to jeep. Gaza. Bombs near the Red Cross. 22 dead. Widely reported 50 Nova suicide story. Not correct, says Israeli psychologist.
Raj blames NATO and EU for provoking Ukraine war. Russia tells US that, we need to talk, but Ukraine must be on agenda. The US will close Russian visa centers in New York and Washington, and diplomats will be forced to pay taxes.
Reopening Brexit debate would bring turmoil, says Keir Starmer, and Sunak claims Starmer could put Brexit in peril, as Labour warned voters against election complacency. It had been commented as neo-Nazi advance in Brazil worries and comes under international monitoring.
Donald Trump tells U.S. evangelical Christians to vote for him one more time. Biden will soon embroil U.S. in World War III, says Trump, and Trump vows to settle conflict in Ukraine before his inauguration. Trump's new promises: immunity for cops, an Iron Dome, cheaper bacon, and Donald Trump proposes Migrant Fight League during Bonkers rally speech.
Macron courts coalition of rivals to block extremes from power. Hungary's anti-migrant Orbán says Germany no longer smells same. AfD apparently plans to form a new European Parliament group, the Sovereignists. 2 days ago, China warns of possible trade war, with EU as Germany's Habeck heads to Beijing and China. European Union agreed to hold talks on EV tariffs. Germany's Vice-Chancellor, Habeck blames China's Russia support for worsening Berlin and Beijing relations. Chinese e-commerce sales up 14% during 618 shopping festival. Report says, Reuters reported, more worries for China. Sales at big e-commerce festival drop for first time.
BRICS to suspend admitting new members for a while, announced Lavrov. EU launches membership talks with Moldova and Ukraine. EU to downgrade Georgia ties and Mull finance freeze, Borrell says.
Julian P. Assange, 52, the founder of WikiLeaks, pleaded guilty today to conspiring with Chelsea Manning, at that time a U.S. Army intelligence analyst, to unlawfully obtain and disclose classified documents relating to the national defense, and WikiLeaks. Assange arrives in Australia following release on U.S. plea deal. Nearly a day ago, Julian Assange's plane leaves Bangkok for U.S.-controlled Pacific Island.
Beirut airport bosses deny it is being used to store Hezbollah weapons, as Lebanon organizes airport tour for diplomats, after claims of Hezbollah storing weapons. 3 days ago, it had been reported that Hezbollah using Beirut airport to store Iranian arms, Lebanese whistleblowers claim. Hamas leader says any agreement that excludes ceasefire is not an agreement. India supplying arms to Israel in return for Kargil support, claims former envoy. Steve Bannon's New York criminal fraud trial will no longer be overseen by judge who presided over Trump's hush money trial. Judge alters Trump's gag order, letting him talk about witnesses, jury after hush money conviction. Trump expressed concern that returning classified docs after subpoena could result in criminal charges, according to sealed notes.
Inspectors say Edinburgh halts deal with Taiwanese city over fears of China backlash. EU hits 19 Chinese firms with sanctions over links to Russian war effort.
There are no Fortune 100 CEOs who are supporting Donald Trump, says Yale's Jeffrey Sonnenfeld. 16 Nobel Prize-winning economists warn a second Trump term would reignite inflation. Bill Gates believes U.S. business environment can face uncertainty if Trump wins, reports Bloomberg.
Biden to pardon veterans convicted under former military law banning gay sex. Judge halts further student loan forgiveness, under part of Biden's new repayment plan. PPE worth £1.4 billion from single COVID deal destroyed or written off. 5 months ago, it had been reported that UK government wasted nearly £10 billion on unused COVID PPE, figures show.
Putin complains that no one will help Russia. International Criminal Court issues arrest warrants for Russia's Shoigu and Gerasimov. UAE mediation efforts succeed with exchange of 180 captives between Russia and Ukraine.
Gandhi takes leader of opposition role in India's parliament. Justin Trudeau suffers shock by election defeat in Liberal stronghold. Russia bans 81 EU media outlets in tit-for-tat move.
Presidential debate, Biden floundered, while Trump, let's just say it, performed with confidence and angry flair, as AP comments that, Trump confident, even when wrong, Biden halting, even with facts on his side. Vavin and Lexus say prank call to Joe Biden possible. Recently Russian pranksters release clip of hoax video call showing David Cameron discussing dinner with Trump, Kiev's NATO bid and a possible Labor victory, believing he was talking to a former Ukraine president. 10 servicemen involved in coup attempt arrested in Bolivia, as Bolivia coup attempt fails after military assault on presidential palace, and Lavrov condemns coup attempt during phone call with foreign minister of Bolivia, and Bolivia's president calls claims he was behind attempted coup lies. Kennedy suggested intervening militarily in Brazil to remove Jango from power. Indians lost over €12 million on rejected Schengen visas in 2023. Lula says he wants Brazil to have a standard of living equal to that of Sweden and Germany, and not like that of Cuba. Ipsos comment says, Happy Canada Day. 7 in 10 Canadians, 70%, think Canada is broken as Canadian pride takes a tumble.
Religious leader wants to display Indian scriptures in Louisiana public classrooms. Oklahoma State Superintendent directs schools to incorporate Bible, 10 Commandments in teaching. DeSantis said he cut Florida's arts funding over sexual festivals. Germany irks EU leaders by resisting joint defense funding. No French troops to go to Ukraine if Bardella becomes PM, says Marine Le Pen. Reform UK is losing support because candidates are saying stupid things, says Farage.
Debate, Trump spews falsehoods as Democrats question Biden's candidacy after disaster debate performance. Trump says Biden siding with Hamas, leading world straight into World War III. Dollar edges up as markets view Trump leading election debate.
Nigeria unveils new rules and compliance program for digital assets. German government moves $195 million worth of Bitcoin to exchanges. Marathon initiates pilot project using Bitcoin, mining heat to warm Finnish residents.
Hacked in latest crypto pump and dump scheme. Sean Diddy Combs deletes all Instagram posts, including Cassie apology video, amid mounting legal problems.
Bitcoin payments app Strike enters UK as global expansion rolls out. Tencent-backed online lender WeBank gets green light to set up fintech unit in Hong Kong. Nubank, Latin America's largest fintech bank, integrates Bitcoin Lightning payments via Lightspark.
Terra Luna Classic loses BTC Turk listing after disastrous hack. Cardano hit with massive DDoS attack, but network remains unfazed as Chang hard fork nears. 2 executives were sentenced for manipulating the price of a security and scheming to defraud investors in connection with the purchase of Hydrogen Technologies cryptocurrency, Hydro. U.S. Congressman Matt Gaetz introduces bill to allow federal income tax payments in Bitcoin, and Louisiana bans CBDC, passes BDC custody protection bill. Singapore seized $4.4 billion in dirty money since 2019. 4fin9 linked Vietnamese hackers indicted in $71 million U.S. cybercrime spree.
VanEck plans to waive fees for potential spot Ethereum ETF at the outset. Bitwise CIO predicts spot Ethereum ETFs will attract $15 billion of net inflows in 18 months, and Ether spot ETFs could see lower demand compared to Bitcoin peers, claims Bernstein.
$1,000 jet fees in single transaction. Kraken CEO Jesse Powell donates $1 million in Trump campaign.
Bolivia officially legalizes crypto payments for banks, as Bolivia lifts ban on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. UAE dominates global crypto adoption, Vietnam surges to second. Bitcoin extends losses after US government sends $240 million worth of BTC to Coinbase.
U.S. nuclear-powered carrier arrives in South Korea ahead of trilateral drill. Marcos says Philippines won't incite wars as South China Sea tensions spike. China sent 66 warplanes into Taiwan airspace over 2 days period. Houthis, Islamic resistance in Iraq attack commercial vessels in Israel's Haifa. USS Dwight D. Eisenhower now in the Med. USS Theodore Roosevelt heads to the Middle East. African Union agrees to new force to fight Islamists in Somalia. 3 days ago, it has been reported that Somalia asks peacekeepers to slow withdrawal, fears Islamist resurgence. New York Times reported that Iran has flooded West Bank with arms for 2 years, aims to make it next flashpoint. Israel says it's assassinated key Hamas weapons supplier in Lebanon. Israeli women rush to buy guns in October 7th aftermath.
E-business units. China to extend anti-dumping duties on styrene imported from ROK, Taiwan region, U.S. U.S. is closer to curbing investments in China's AI tech sector.
In Shanghai Film Festival, Kazakh drama The Divorce takes top prize. It has been speculated as, will China's historic paper on Change 6 lunar farside samples be in English or Chinese? China and France satellite launched to monitor most powerful explosions in space.
Media report claims, official who gave Putin wrong intelligence on Ukraine war resigns. Bloomberg comments as, Russia is storing up a crime wave when its war on Ukraine ends. Poland considers complete closure of border with Belarus. Swiss push to rewire financial system in wake of banking crash. Wall Street Journal commented as, Nvidia's success is the stock market's problem. JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America and Citibank flagged for holding trillions of dollars in derivatives without proper contingency plans, claimed in a report.
U.S. reporter Evan Gershkovich's closed-door espionage trial begins in Russia. Law enforcement is spying on thousands of Americans' mail, records show. In Indonesia, crippling immigration ransomware breach sparks privacy crisis. 2 days ago, cyber attack compromised Indonesia data center, ransom sought.
Missile strike on Sevastopol, act of war, by Washington, says Ritter. Recently, Russia tells U.S. ambassador it will retaliate over Sevastopol missile strike, and reportedly, U.S. and Russia defense chiefs speak as tensions rise over Crimea attack. Putin allies kids suspected in synagogue shooting massacre. TASS reports that probe shows Il-76 carrying Ukrainian POWs down by Ukraine.
UN tells Israel it will suspend aid operations across Gaza without improved safety, and 1 in 5 households in Gaza go whole days without food, draft UN report says. Victims of October 7th attack against Israel sue UNRWA for allegedly laundering money for Hamas. 10 children lose one or both legs every day in Gaza, says UNRWA chief.
Germany, France, and Poland plan to jointly develop a long-range cruise missile. Polish defense minister hints at joining Franco-German fighter jet tank projects. U.S. dollar's dominance secure. BRICS see no progress on de-dollarization, claims a report.
Entire Bakersfield chapter of Hell's Angels arrested in kidnapping, robbery investigation. LAPD, federal authorities look for synagogue protesters as city malls over mask restrictions, added security. Interpol elects Brazil's Valdecir Urquiza as first chief from a developing nation.
Walmart is replacing its price labels with digital screens, but the company swears it won't use it for surge pricing. Redmi announces it will no longer use LCD screens. Steam users have spent $19 billion on games they've never played.
Tesla recalls Cybertrucks again for issues with wiper blades and loose trim. Ford recalls over 550,000 pickup trucks because transmissions can suddenly downshift to first gear. Waymo ditches the waitlist and opens up its robot access to everyone in San Francisco.
More than a quarter of Americans admit to skipping meals due to skyrocketing grocery costs, claimed in a report, and CNN comments as, an $18 Big Mac meal sparked a revolt against high prices. Companies are finally listening. American millennials drive surge in freelancing as a side job. International scheme to tax billionaires' wealth technically feasible, study finds, and tax the super rich, says a new report commissioned by Brazil for its G20 presidency. Also, minimum tax on billionaires would raise up to $250 billion a year, says report.
M5 is heavier than an X5, slower than the old M5 to 60. 2025 Volkswagen Golf R arrives as the last combustion model before going electric.
Canada inflation picks up in May, rising 2.9%. Argentina records first week of zero inflation in 30 years. Milley claims his redefining economic theory. Kenyan president deploys military to halt treasonous protests, and several killed as Kenyan police open fire on anti-tax bill protesters. Part of Kenya's parliament on fire as thousands of protesters enter.
MasterCard $30 billion swipe fee settlement rejected.